But they were paid well, they had good money, they could do things, and it stayed like that for 3 years, and then you had to reach your enrollment goals to maintain the dollar values. One day when I'm feeling better, I'm gonna trace the budget to see what happened to it between those 3 years to where it is today. Because we had a fantastic budget that was good for this college and got us off real well. So I'll stop there because I want y'all to go to sleep on it. But this was a terrific ordeal to get this College of Law, and Reginald Bishop did a yeoman job in the work that he did, and we came out successful. And the lesson was, you can't win if you don't try.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the important lesson for y'all in this law school. You can't win if you don't try. I mean, there was no reason for us to expect that we would get our law school back, except we made the effort. And then in making the effort, we framed the arguments right. We did the labor to get it done. And when you have people that you can count on who will do the labor to get the job done, you win. When you don't do the labor and you don't get on the team, then you lose. And that's how you lose. All right. Any questions for Bishop?
I have a question for you, Bishop. And it goes back to the Virgil Hawkins. I did a little bit of reading on him, and he's synonymous with all the law schools in Florida, Florida State here. But what I can't figure out is when the Supreme Court told Florida to let him in, and then he left and went out of state to another school. He was going out of state provisionally until FAMU finished building their law school. Why did he not, does anyone know why he didn't want to go to FAMU? Because it seems like he did everything instead of go there when they were building the law school.
Well, Red and I think we looked at that, and I think his basic position was he wanted to go to an integrated law school. And that's basically what we concluded. I mean, that was his dream, and I can respect his dream.
I just always wondered, I could never find it written
He
anywhere.
wanted to go to an integrated law school. I think he ended up at the New England School of Law. But what you have to keep in mind is that FAMU benefited from Virgil Hawkins, even though that wasn't his initial goal. But what he did was help create a climate wherein, even though he didn't get everything he wanted, the black community benefited from what he created. So he was trying to end racism that maintained segregation, and eventually he did that. But in the process, he helped create a law school that could serve the black community and continues to serve the black community. So we were sort of like incidental beneficiaries. And that, I'm sure that no one here has a question about the value, viability, and validity of historically black colleges and universities. But I always like to mention that there are at least two court cases, one a Supreme Court case, Irons v. Fordyce, and the other is Adams versus Richardson. Both of these cases say that historically black colleges and universities have a place in America. They shouldn't, they don't have to go anywhere. In fact, rather than being merged or closed, they ought to be enhanced. So Virgil Hawkins had his view, and I respect his view, and we benefited from his view. even though his philosophy led him to a slightly different course of action. But the bottom line is that once he got out of law school, his goal became to serve the black community as best he could.
Anyway,
And so he took cases from people who couldn't pay. He took cases that might have been a bit more complicated than he should have been trying to resolve at the advanced state of years that he was in. So he ended up where Francis I am. And that is, ultimately, we're here to serve our community, and in my case, and in the case of many of those in this room, we're here to serve a community that has been mistreated over the years. They're still trying to take rights away from us. I mean, we had a voting rights law that, you know, it took blood, tears, and sweat and toil to get, and now we got these Supreme Court justices who want to ignore history and justify putting us back where we were 50 years ago when it comes to voting rights for our community. So I'm a Virgil Hawkins admirer, even though on everything we don't agree, but without a doubt, he helped create a path for this university.
I just want, because I don't think y'all know this, in the South, when a black person couldn't go to a white institution and couldn't get the degree that they wanted to pursue, the Southern Regional Education Board act as a conduit for money to be sent to institutions out of the South where a person from Florida could go study. I mean, all of the people from FAMU who graduated and wanted to go to med school went to Meharry or Howard, and Southern Regional Education Board paid for them at Meharry and Howard. And the same thing was true in Missouri, Louisiana, and the like. And so you have some really exciting stories of people who really took advantage of that. I mean, in the sense that I have met people who studied in Switzerland for a degree that they couldn't get in their home state, and the state paid for them to go. I met the person who went to Moscow to study nuclear engineering and got a doctorate, but got paid for by the state from which he came because they would not permit him to go to graduate education in that. So a lot of people from FAMU got their education paid for because they went out of state and they petitioned. When I went to the University of Pittsburgh back in 1959, I got this, the guy's name who signed my check was Myron S. Blee. And when I went back to Florida as president, FAMU, Myron S. Blee was still working in the Department of Education. But he sent me a check every semester at the University of Pittsburgh because I could not study for a PhD in chemistry in the state of Florida. Okay.
Why was that system put in place? I mean, was there recognition that you all would come back to the state and contribute, and so they were savvy enough to recognize that you'd come back to the state?
No, they didn't want the trouble. I mean,
Oh, so it was cheaper to pay for you to go wherever you wanted.
yeah, didn't bother them about, and see, and that's what Bishop and Ridge discovered, was that the statute that provided for the establishment of the law school also established the College of Pharmacy and also established an engineering school. Gave the authority for Florida A&M to, and the purpose of doing that was simply to provide an alternative for blacks to go and pursue those disciplines without asking to go to the white school, because FAMU did not offer those disciplines, okay? And that was the oblique move by the state to do that.